up YouTube? Tonight's the night before the Gauntlet, but before we do that, we're gonna make a video about one of my favorite skills in PoE and how someone was able to achieve 241 million DPS on PoE Ninja on Blade Vortex. As many of you know, I've really wanted to play Blade Vortex this league. It's by far one of my favorite abilities. You can just run around the map, kill everything, but I always thought the single target could never really be reliably pushed up beyond like 50 mil. And boy, was I wrong. This guy proved me wrong. He did it with style. And look at his gear. It looks really pretty. So many unique pieces, scourged items. It looks very beautiful. But we're going to get into how he's able to get so much damage. What does he do so special that I can't do? And we'll see how much of a cheater he is. He might not be a cheater, but he might be. Now, in terms of the Gauntlet and what I want to be playing, I am going to be playing Poison Seismic. I am trying to make a little guide of the gems, more for myself, but I might include it in the link down below if you're curious about playing the Gauntlet. Now, if you guys are trying to get to level 90 or 95 to try to get those sweet rewards, I highly recommend playing some version of Seismic Trap. Either Crit Seismic or Poison Seismic are both very, very strong for doing all the content in the game. But let's get straight into this Blade Vortex guy. Let's see why is this guy so good and how he gets his damage to 241 million. Now, first things first, before we look at any profile, we want to look at the defenses of the profile, because we kind of want to see, is this character actually going to be playable? Like, am I going to be able to do a map without dying? And 2.2k life, I mean, it's higher than 1k, so it's not too bad. He has 1k mana. He's not mind over matter, so that doesn't really matter. 605 energy shield. It's better than 0. Armor, 1350. It's in the 4 digits, so it's not too bad. 1262 evasion, not too bad. 12 power charges. So he's a power charge stacking occultist, of course. So now we're going to import the profile over, and we're going to see how many points does this person actually have. 132, not too shabby. If you remember yesterday's video, I think the guy had 143 points. So let's take out the points away and see how many points he's left with. He's 123. Now, then we look at, is there Supreme Ego? No Supreme Ego. So this guy is not really cheesing it that hard, right? He's 224 million DPS. So let's take a look at his gear. This is a pretty insane Void Battery, +1 Fizz spell skill gems, and as a Scourge, that's actually absolutely incredible. It benefits BV a lot, probably one of the best ones you could possibly have. And he has another one. He has 2, not 1, but 2 of these. So this guy, you can immediately see, this guy is a baller. He has pretty good gear. He doesn't really mess around. So now he has a Blizzard Crown, which is it's good, but it's kind of underwhelming. It's not really mirror tier because it's multi-modded, and the crit multi is not elevated. Oh, you guys can't really see it. Let me bring it down a little bit. But it's still very, very good. He does have Blade Vortex duration, so he's actually trying to play the build, because if you're trying to tooltip warrior, you would probably get a different enchant rather than duration, since I don't think duration actually scales off on Path of Building. But now let's see the amulet. So this one is pretty much a perfect one. Aspect of the spider. I think that is, oh wait, no, it's a regular crit multi. So this amulet is pretty much made by Awakened Orbing together Dex and Fizz skill gems together, and then getting an open suffix, and then Reforge crit to hit a 1 in 12 to get T1 multi. And then I think you just Reforge Influence or something like that to get the damage pen. But this is very similar to our old Aura Stacker amulets, but this is pretty much as much damage as you can get. Now, here's a Sacrificial Garb. A lot of people use this because they're trying to get maximum plus levels of gems, as BV ends up scaling really, really well with plus levels. So I actually wonder what level this guy's Blade Vortex ends up being. I'm not really sure. So it's 21 plus 7. He has a level 28 Blade Vortex from both the gem levels on the amulet, the 2 gem levels on the wand, and then 2 more gem levels on the chest piece, and a level 21 Blade Vortex. So usually that's the #1 way of scaling damage, is to get gem levels on your gear to boost up your spell to high levels. So it's a level 28 essentially. And on this chest, most people do get the aura effect that ends up being the most damage. So he gets 30% increased of non-curse auras from your skills. Then he also has 15% of Fizz damage from his taken as lightning damage. So this person actually has some interesting gear. He's not like trying to a tooltip is super hard, and he actually tried to make a playable character. Although his life is pretty low. Not really sure about the chess piece though. So here, of course, if you're going to be a baller, you're going to have +1 max power charge rings, of course. So he has a +1 max power charge ring here. It's actually not that well rolled considering it's missing 2 mods. So it's kind of interesting. So here is a Herald of Purity, buff effect, and increased fizz damage. So these rings are generally really hard to beat the Circle of Guilt rings for Herald of Purity builds. So now he has Inya's, replica Inya's. It gives a lot of movement speed. So this pair of boots actually gives him 60% movement speed. And it also gives 60% damage. And also it gives +1 level of Socket of Gems as it's corrupted. But this item is not Scourged. And he has damage pen, 10% of elemental resistance. And here he has... What is this? You're telling me the #1 Blade Vortex person has a belt that looks like this? This belt is terrible. Literally, this belt is only 34% increased damage with hits against chilled enemies and 14% increased damage crafted. So this person does not have that great of gear. I don't even know if these things are the best anymore after seeing some of this stuff. This stuff is disgusting now. It's not that bad, but still. So now he gets his curse from here. Curse enemies with frostbite on hit. And then this is pretty much just able to convert it fully. So he has 31% of fizz converted to cold. And then he just crafted on the Veiled mod and then increased damage during any flask effect. So is this guy actually a cheater? Let's look at the flask. Yeah, this is pretty bad cheating. So usually we want to disable the flask just because they're not really realistic. And flasks are pretty OP. It does lose him like half of his damage roughly. But it is what it is. Watcher's Eye he has... This is pretty much a triple mod of Watcher's Eye, although Vitality is more of a survivability thing, so it's not too crazy on just getting max damage. And for Blade Vortex, like I mentioned in the last video, is a Fizz spell, and there's no crit multi with Fizz skills, so it's really hard to get multi on a Blade Vortex build, and he does have 714% multi. And the reason he's unable to unlock this multi is because he has dual wielding, and that gives you another mod, which is dual wielding multi. So most of his, I bet you every single one of his jewels will have multi global and multi while dual wielding. So this is right for this case, this one, this one, this one, this one. So every single one you'll see multi and multi while dual wielding. And this is actually the only way you can get multiplier stacked up on Blade Vortex build. Now let's go see his large clusters. So he will probably use Blanketed Snow, I'm assuming. Yeah, so this gives the pen and Doriani's Lesson for the leech here. The Blanketed Snow, Prismatic Heart. And then another Blanketed Snow, Prismatic Heart. So you can see here, Blanketed Snow is definitely the best enchant overall for that build, or any cold build in general. Now next we can see this Militant Faith. I'm not really sure what this actually gives him. Oh, it gives you 10%. It really depends on what... it gives you 4% increased elemental damage and 1% increased effective non-curse auras. So this Militant Faith, I don't even think... Does it actually get calculated on the... I'm not sure if it gets calculated on the path of building or not. But let's just see this one node. Yeah, it does get calculated because you can see this one node over here gives him 2.5% damage. So if you're trying to tooltip, Militant Faith is a pretty good thing to put into your path of building because it actually gets calculated correctly, unlike Glorious Vanity or something like that. So now we want to check the mana issue. Is this guy have mana problems? Nope, he's actually able to play the build. So in terms of his auras, he's running, so his AoE weakness, so elemental weakness. This is kind of like a troll thing because no one is really casting elemental weakness manually, but he's able to do this because he has 2 curses since he's an occultist. So he has Frostbite on his gloves and an LE weakness he's casting manually, I guess. And then these links are fine. So if you want to get a lot of damage, always use Summon Skitterbots with Awakened Unbound Ailments, especially if your skill can't shock. Because I don't think that even if you use a lightning skill, PoE Ninja's Path of Building does not consider that you can shock. So you can see here, if you take out Summon Skitterbots, he actually loses 58.9% of his damage. What the? I guess Summon Skitterbots must be OP. So Summon Skitterbots somehow gives him 50% of his damage. Oh, it's because it puts him not on low life anymore? Must be it, right? Yeah, he's not on low life anymore. So if we take out the low life node real fast just to see what happens, how much it actually gives. Yeah, he gives him only 18% damage or 22% damage with Awaken Unbound Ailments. So that makes a lot more sense. I was going to say, dude, there's something terribly wrong with some Skitter bots if that's actually the case. So he's running Herald of Purity, Herald of Ice, Zealotry. These are the standard auras. And then he's running Hatred with Enlighten. Empower, who's empowering Hatred. Kind of interesting. And then this is what people always do. For any cold build, they always put Vortex on left click. Because Vortex actually gives you... Where is it? It gives you more cold damage. The enemies will take more cold damage. And this Vortex Bone Chills. Enemies chilled by supported skills take increased cold damage. And then Awaken Unbound Ailment scale that. So you can see Vortex actually ends up being a 17% damage increase. Again, we're using the Bone Chill and Unbound Ailments tech. And lastly, Aspect of the Spider is being used because he has it on his amulet. And it's a pretty decent chunk of damage, like 10 million DPS. So overall, this profile is pretty surprising. He's not really cheating by that much. He's also not using an 8-link helm, but his damage is just insane. I guess this is what happens when you have really, really crazy gear and jewels that really maximize the amount of multi that you can get. And I'm not sure about his trees, though. How much percent life does he has? His tree has... Does it even say how much the tree has on percent life? I don't even know where it says that. But basically, he literally has no life node. So it is cheating in the sense that this profile is not realistic in terms of his life pool. Because I don't think he took even one life node, which is why it doesn't show up on Path of Building. So in the end, Blade Vortex, you can't really get this type of damage. Most of the damage does come from the cheating flask. And once you remove the cheating flask, it's down to 100 mil. Although I do think you can probably get more damage than the setup using an 8-link helm. And you probably have like 75 mil, 80 mil DPS, which is more than enough to do all content in the game with perfect gear. However, survivability will always be an issue. I do think that using a Mage Blood will probably solve a lot of issues with this build and make it a playable character. And might be something that I'm look forward to doing after all of the events. Or maybe doing the Endless Heist. I'll try out some Aura Stacker. And then I'll try out a Blade Vortex character. Because this character shows me that... Yeah, look at this belt. This guy is literally using a belt with 3% damage increase. That's actually wild. So I don't know what's going on with him, right? He's cheating, but he forgot some parts to cheat with. So basically, you could definitely make this build viable. Lose some damage, 50, 60, 70 mil with Mage Blood. And it would be a blast to play. But like I said, during the Endless Heist event, I might try it out for a day or two. And then I'll be doing Aura Stacker and Blade Vortex, it seems like. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this has helped you out in learning how to maximize Blade Vortex damage. So stack crit multi, stacks plus level the skill gems. And if you want to cheat, get rid of all your life points and put them into damage. But thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you find more mirrors, mage bloods, and exalts than me. And see you next time. Bye.